Health Matters with Paul Rosen.
There is hope out there.
And you're doing better.
I'm telling people there's an exact plan for you.
Wow.
And it was, I just could not believe it.
With your host, Paul Rosen.
Paul, there's a story that's been around for years about an American veteran who was exposed to radioactive gas in 1927. It knocked him out. He woke up in the 25th century to a very changed world. That was Buck Rogers. You and I have been on a hiatus from this program for the past 3 weeks, and since then, now that we're back live, we are in a very changed world. Things are much different now than they were 3 weeks, a month ago, and that's what we're going to talk about this morning on Health Matters with Paul Rosen. Yeah.
That's all I can say. And by the way, this show is the opinions of Paul Rosen and perhaps Rod McLaughlin as well. Just in counterpoint to the to the double introduction that they're not the opinion of the particular station.
That was a cool disclaimer at the beginning there. I think that was our engineer, Matt, by the way. That sounded like his voice. If it wasn't, it must have been his spiritual twin or something.
Well, we were scheduled to talk about the, how to handle fatigue and insomnia, and we still will. But, of course, on everybody's mind is the coronavirus, COVID-19. And just so you know, folks, I've been in my clinic for the past week. I've seen many, many people, some of which are sick, some of which are not, and we're able to handle whatever it is so far that's been thrown in our direction. It's really important to ratchet down the fear, right? There are things that you can do, some of which are very simple. Of course, the washing hands, which is really something you should have been doing all along, but now put your attention to it. And when you go out in public, right, if you are touching things that are not part of your particular domicile, don't put your hands on your face, because this particular virus is known to spread via the droplets that can come about through a sneeze or a cough, or somebody who lays their hands, who has moistness on their hands, lays them on a surface. And so if you're concerned, and you should be, then just wash your hands with soap and water and forget these sanitizers because they contain ingredients that are harmful to your immune system. I mean, one of them is an antibiotic, triclosan, which really shouldn't be used with any regularity, in my personal opinion, not at all, right? Because there's no way for you to sterilize your skin. Your entire body is made up of microbiota of all sorts. We call it the microbiome. Trillions upon trillions of bacteria and viruses, and even some parasites or fungi, and they're all part of you. And that's a good thing, because many of those that are part of you are actually essential to, for example, digest and absorb the food that you consume. So let's not get overly crazed. You cannot sterilize your hands. It will never happen. Just soap and water, soap and warm water. While you're doing it, sing happy birthday a couple of times. That'll be long enough. And that's really important. And the other thing that I want to say, I guess I'm just getting right to it, huh?
Yeah, you get right to it. Everything you're saying is relevant, so keep going.
The other thing that I want to share is that these hand sanitizers or sanitizers of surfaces, you can make your own extremely effective without the ingredients that will compromise your immune system and create a chemical overburden for your system. And this is the recipe. You ready?
Ready.
The recipe is you will This microphone seems to be cutting in and out. I don't know.
It's sounding loud and clear over here, so it may be a headphone issue with you.
Maybe. Technological difficulties.
Could be.
Challenges.
Could be. We'll work with that.
Why should today be any different than it has been?
Actually, considering everything else going on, that's the least of our considerations right now.
So So what you do is you get yourself a little spray bottle anywhere between 4 and 8 ounces, and put some aloe vera, like a third of the content aloe vera, and then 2/3 of Everclear. Everclear is a high-proof grain alcohol. It's got to be at least 150 to 190 proof. And then add some drops of essential oil, oregano and or lemon.
All right.
And you've got yourself a demister, an aerosol, and you've got yourself a sanitizer that will work on all surfaces. And you'll avoid the chemistry of the commercial products. And that's what we're using at our clinic.
And by the way, you're not selling any of these products.
No,
this is your advice to create a sanitizer that will be safe and effective.
Yeah. No, we're not selling these things.
So lest anybody think we're profiteering from this, that is not the case. Paul's just giving you good advice on how you can best protect yourself.
The fear is the emotion that puts people in paralysis, and decisions made in fear are almost always going to end up badly. So how do you avoid fear in a time like this, where the fear is ginned up to such a degree, it's unspeakable? And that is knowledge. In any event, fatigue and insomnia, on the one hand, you're running out of gas, and on the other, your gas pedal is stuck to the floor. Either way, prescription medications will never address the root cause. We can talk about safer options, and I already revealed how to make your own hand and surface sanitizer. So, yeah.
That's a good start right there. That's a very good place to begin preparing yourself or making yourself healthier. And by the way, fatigue and insomnia, for example, I think now we're more aware than ever of our own personal health. In other words, if we show any symptoms whatsoever of any kind of illness, we're suddenly much more concerned now than we may have been, say, a month ago.
And the interesting thing is the most powerful tool we have as a human being is our immune system. So wouldn't it be nice to know how to actually bolster, but more important, maintain a healthy, strong, effective immune system?
So that's the best way, I would think, overall, to prepare ourselves for the present situation or any future health issue that we may, as a society and as individuals, have to deal with.
And I have done shows about each specific topic, like the immune system. All you have to do is go and access the podcasts. You can either go to the either look it up on the web or go on my website specifically, and you can see them there. But the bottom line is, how do you bolster your immune system? It's not necessarily by supplementation, by taking zinc, by taking all of these antioxidants, because lots of times, as I have found in my clinic, when I evaluate each individual person, the uniquenesses of you as an individual may not respond to those commonly talked about supplements to support your immune system. And that's what I've discovered, over the past 25, 30 years. You can't supplement your way to health. It's not possible.
So from that statement, Paul, I assume there's a body of knowledge out there that's saying if you supplement with zinc and antioxidants and that kind of thing.
You can just look it up. Yeah, you can go on the web and say, oh, how can I, what supplements would be useful. But the truth of the matter is, your immune system, first and foremost, responds to what you put in your mouth. Every day, day after day, month after month, year after year. And if you want to turn back the clock on the eroding immune system that you're walking around with today, and most people are, because they don't heed something that I say on every show, which is don't eat sugar. They think I'm crazy. I mean, how could you live a life without eating sugar? Well, folks, I will tell you, it's really easy. Right? Why don't you walk across the street against a light?
Because I don't want to get hit by a bus.
Because you don't want to get hit by a bus. It's the same thing. So here we are now in the middle of a pandemic, right? And although it is extremely serious, and I am totally compassionate as I am putting my life on the line by going to my clinic and working with people, and I'm okay with that. The idea that a person, that a practitioner wouldn't, who's taking care of people's health, is sort of like a lifeguard on the beach watching somebody drown and saying, you know what, I don't think I'll go in there. That looks a little dangerous.
You know, when there is a historical event like what we're going through now, I think in terms of our health, we're thinking more about that than we were, say, a month ago again, or at any other time during our lives. And I was actually surprised, Paul, to have you tell me before the show that you've had an incredibly busy week at your practice.
Yes,
I mean,
because
if people are sheltering in place or doing whatever they're doing, they're still coming out to take care of their bodies.
I have a core group of people who have been open enough to learn the secrets of both how to maintain and restore their health in general. And they recognize that if they're not feeling well, if something is off, they are taught by me to come in to be tested using this nutrition response testing technology. By the way, you can go to AcuNatural, acunatural.com, and look it up and see what it is so that we can stay ahead of this. The people who are suffering dramatically and dying have passed the mild fever, the runny nose, the sore throat, et cetera, the dry cough. They've passed that. Trying to hold out. Now, some people do get hit torrentially. It speaks to a number of things. Number one, a weakened immune system. And there's also a genetic component to it as well, I'm certain. But most people try to wait it out. And my patients don't. They know that if something's off, they better come in and get seen, be evaluated, and go back to it. But anyway, at the end of the day, it's most important that you realize that your immune system is the only tool that we have as human beings in order to deal with the environment as a whole, and keeping that immune system pumped up, keeping it ready to rock and roll, is the first, biggest, best key to avoiding completely and/or overcoming something like COVID-19 or the coronavirus. And the first thing you really have to start to get into your psyche is that you cannot eat concentrated sweeteners. And you really do have to limit your intake of high glycemic carbohydrates. What's a high glycemic carbohydrate? Grains are high glycemic carbohydrates. So in particular, you've heard me say many times, wheat, corn, and soy should be avoided. End of story. Just don't eat it. Eat something else. There are plenty of things to eat out there. Now, oftentimes people will say, well, what specifically? Tell me what I should eat. The problem is that that's irresponsible on my part, because without evaluating you as an individual, looking at you as a human being, unique in all of your human beingness, right? There's a way to actually identify with the highest degree of certainty what your unique needs are. And we can do that and then put together a strategy and go forward. But in general, having been doing this work for the past 25, 30 years, I can say that you could drop all concentrated sweeteners, and that means concentrated juice too, fruit too, right? Fruit juices. If you think orange juice is good for a cold, you're out of your mind. You're just feeding the bugs.
Why are you looking at me when you say that? Because I was an advocate of that for years.
Yeah, I know. Maybe that's why. But in any case, fruit juice isn't it? Chicken soup? That's another story. So instead of increasing your liquids, I don't drink coffee or tea. I'm one of those people who reacts very strongly to caffeine. It really gins me up. It's uncomfortable. So in the morning, I have a cup of soup or broth every morning. It's comforting. It's nutrient dense. It satisfies the liquid intake as well. So these are just habits that I didn't have before I was deathly sick. And now I do, because I learned that, you know what? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
So let me take that thought, Paul. You presented already a good alternative for hand sanitizers and now a good alternative for our morning coffee or tea.
Yes.
I think we can take that rule and extend it across the board. We can think of almost any bad eating habit that we have, and there's a healthy alternative to that. But you have to know specifically what would work best for you.
The funny thing is oftentimes I will hear, even some of my patients will, go rogue. And the rationale for it is I just needed a treat. And I never really understood that.
Really? You don't understand that whole idea of comfort food?
No, because, well, isn't it comforting right now to know that I have the strongest immune system I could possibly have, looking into the face of what appears to be, the greatest pandemic of our time?
Fair enough, and I think I'm being devil's advocate in the sense
I know,
that,
and that's why I love you.
Well, thanks for that.
Yeah.
I think people will reach for something. They'll use it as a rationalization for eating something lousy. In other words, they'll have a Snickers bar because, A, it is comfort food, but B, it's also just, using that as an excuse because they want to have a Snickers bar.
Remember, knowledge is power.
Correct.
So when we started off the program, I was talking about the microbiome and all of the microbiota or pathogens that are an integral part of why this organism can remain vital and alive.
Let me
stay
add
on
quickly.
The planet.
The microbiome is your stomach. It's in your stomach.
It's in your gut.
All right.
It's in your gut.
And it's very important for the functioning of your entire body.
Yes, and it's actually the greatest part of your immune system. That's where it is.
And you have to keep that healthy. And now tell me if I'm wrong here, there are good and bad bacteria. Is
there
that right?
are, and there are some of each. More of the good, less of the bad, but even some of the bad pathogens that we would consider, if they got out of their cage, could do damage. But they also have specific functions within the body that are absolutely essential for us to remain vital and alive. So bad doesn't mean like 100% bad. Good doesn't mean 100% good. There's a balance that occurs. And when you eat concentrated sweeteners and when you stuff yourself with high glycemic carbohydrates, you alter that balance. And the comfort food thing really is actually, now this is going to be kind of weird, but this is the truth.
Because nothing on this program is weird.
Everything's weird. The bugs in your gut actually inform your brain as to what it may like and what it may not like, or what it may want and what it may desire or not desire.
So how does that work?
Well, if you're I gotta have that sweet, that's not coming from you.
There are millions of people having that thought now.
That's not coming from you. That's coming from your gut. That's coming from those live pathogens in your gut going, hey, I'm hungry. Feed me.
Okay, fair enough. But in lieu of the sweet, what do you feed them?
That is a good question. So I've told you what not to eat: concentrated sweeteners and wheat, corn, and soy for 3. Some other people might not be able to eat eggs. Some people might not be able to eat dairy. But all of that can be discovered if they come and get evaluated using the technology that I possess and have utilized for the past 25 or 30 years.
I think right now is an excellent time to be diet conscious for all the reasons we've discussed so far, but also a pal of mine in the past month, I swear, has gained maybe 10 pounds because he's been spending more time at home. And what does he do when he's at home? He stuffs his face. That's what he does all day long. So,
well, and you know, I mean, again, these bugs are calling, feed me, feed me. And the other reason is, and we're going to hear this from the testimonial that
Reynold, your patient.
Yeah, Reynold, is that the when you eat that kind of food, you feed the bad bugs, and you also that doesn't contain, those foods don't contain the nutrient density that your body actually needs to perform. So the hunger system goes haywire, and is continually calling out, you know, hey, we need some food, we need some nutrient density. Come on. And the more you eat of the processed foods and the high glycemic foods and the sweeteners, the more that system goes out of whack, and the hungrier you are. So what people find out is when they eat the food that they should be eating, and again, in total, this is what we design for people, the nutritional healing program that we design. They don't have that response. That sugar craving, that carbohydrate craving simply disappears. It's simple.
But also, easy. If you're eating properly and healthily, you're satisfying your appetite.
That's
you're not
why.
Just creating the conditions for your body to demand more food.
And which is another reason why, when you're eating properly, that you lose weight. Weight is not an issue in our clinic. Just by starting a program, you could lose anywhere between 7 and 15 pounds doing nothing.
I should send my buddy to you immediately, because he's going to be...
But that drive, I've got to have that Kit Kat bar. That's not you speaking. That's bugs speaking. Just think of it like that. You know that commercial, those commercials sometimes you see, you know, when they're trying to sell you some prescription medication or some sanitizer or some cleaner or something, you know, those little green bugs. Just think of that.
That's kind of horrifying.
That's horrifying. So stop feeding them. These are facts. These are the way it is. The rules of the game. I learned them. I didn't make them up.